To Dr. J's Prescription for Health. I'm your host, Dr. Malea Jensen. We are live on Instagram and YouTube. Hello, Susan. Thank you all for joining. We'll get started here in a second, but while we're getting started, where are you listening from? What city, what state, what country? And let me know, what type of diet are you consuming? I asked that yesterday, and I want to get more of you chiming in, and let me know what kind of a diet are you? Are you on a standard American diet? Are you on a vegan diet, vegetarian diet, a keto, ketovore, carnivore? Are you on a lion diet? Are you on any special diet? What do you guys eat? All right. We got quite a few joining in here. Thank you very much. Florida, got one listening from Florida already. Okay. Hello, Details. Thank you for joining. So yesterday I had quite a few chime in regards to cholesterol. So Jamendez is mainly keto. A keto diet is 20 grams of carbohydrates or less. A ketovore, it would be around 10 grams of carbohydrates or less. And a carnivore is 0 grams of carbs. Now, those are lightly or loose definitions of a ketogenic diet. They are all in the ketogenic spectrum of keto, ketovore, carnivore, lion. Okay, those are ketogenic diets. Then there's vegan, vegetarian, and standard American diet. So good morning, Kashua. Thank you for joining. Good morning and happy Sunday to you as well. All right, so we are going on. Today we are trying something new. We are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube. As a reminder, a disclaimer, I am a doctor. You guys are patients and clients, but I am not your doctor and you are not my patient, okay? So this is for information purposes only. Maybe a little bit of entertainment, but for information purposes only, so you guys are equipping yourself to make good decisions moving forward. All right? Okay, so yesterday we had a question in regards to statins, and I thought it would be appropriate to describe cholesterol. Now, we could have a 3-hour talk simply about cholesterol, and I am going to break this down into a very simplistic way for you guys to understand cholesterol. And the particular question yesterday was in regards to statins and my thoughts on statins. And so we're going to briefly discuss how statins work when we take them and why we would maybe want to take them or maybe not take them. So there's other drugs besides statins, and I might mention one of those as well. But both are equipped, and their mechanism of action, their MOA, is for cholesterol to go down in your bloodstream. Because it has been thought that cholesterol in your bloodstream is bad for you. All right, let's just be honest. Let's just break it down. So when I discuss a pathway for cholesterol, I want you guys to understand that the pathway I am going to give you is very simplistic. In order for our body to make cholesterol, it is over 30 steps, and I am only going to give you about 9 or 10. But I think that they're important steps because there's something that you should know in each of these steps that I'm going to give you, okay? So when we first start out making cholesterol, hi Sue, hi Kathy, hi Michelle. When we first start out making cholesterol, we start with glucose or fatty acids. If you're on a low carb diet, you're going to be using or breaking down fatty acids and making ketones, okay? If you're eating a carbohydrate-ridden diet, you are going to be using glucose, all right? So it's one or the other. when we consume or our body makes these things, so if we're on a low carb diet, your liver will make glucose when you need it. If you're in a low carb diet, you will be using an energy source that is a breakdown of fatty acids into ketones. Now, when we have these particular components in our system, we will convert this into something called acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA has different pathways it can go into. I'm only going to give you one pathway. All right? You guys, if you want to save your question for a bit here, okay? I'm just going to go over this really quick. And then we can break it down, and then you guys can ask. Oh, I got a Cleveland here. Thank you. Okay. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody here. All right. So the acetyl-CoA can go down many pathways. But one of those pathways that we're going to discuss right here is when it makes, through an enzyme. Remember, there's a lot of in-between steps in here. So we need HMG-CoA synthetase, an enzyme that actually makes HMG-CoA. I would have boggled this all up, but just so you know, this is very simplistic. This is only the steps that out of 30, these I thought were real pertinent for today. So when we have acetyl-CoA and it goes down this particular pathway, we're going to make HMG-CoA. HMG-CoA will make mevalonate, okay? We already heard these terms, HMG-CoA. We have likely heard about mevalonate. Maybe not, okay? Now, when we have mevalonate, mevalonate will make mevalonyl PP. And then we're going to make, isopentenyl PP. Isopentenyl PP from mevalonyl PP, okay? Then when we have this one, the isopentyl, we're going to make geranyl PP, okay? I might be pronouncing these. I'm just giving you guys a basic, simplistic. From geranyl PP, we make farnesyl PP. And with this one, we can make squalene. And then the end product, after all of these steps, more than what I've written down here, we get cholesterol. Now, many of you have heard of statins. Statins. Statins are called HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. So, if we are trying to make cholesterol and we block the production of acetyl-CoA into HMG-CoA reductase, we go here and then we got here, but if this is the synthase enzyme. So from acetyl-CoA, there's something called HMG-CoA synthetase. It makes HMG-CoA HMG-CoA. When we break down HMG-CoA, we get mevalonate. But what if we don't have the enzyme that can break it down into here? So if we take a statin, it's going to block HMG-CoA reductase. Statins are called HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. It inhibits that enzyme breaking down HMG into mevalonate. If you stop this production all the way around, you do not get cholesterol. You do not get cholesterol. Now, question is, if you don't have cholesterol, how does your body work? Well, fortunately, most cells can make their own cholesterol, except for red blood cells. Now, isn't it a shame that red blood cells can't make their own cholesterol? What are they going to do? I guess not live, right? They're going to die. They need cholesterol. I'm not sure that we take in, when we write these medications, I'm not sure that we are taking in all considerations, because we've just blocked this whole pathway simply by blocking this right here. This right here. We got HMG-CoA and we can't break it down into mevalonate. We ended the pathway. Do you think that God made that pathway for a reason? I think so. Do you think he made a mistake? I don't think so. So everything downstream, we are not getting the benefit of. So let me just read to you what could possibly go on if we don't get to this mevalonate stage. If we do not get to mevalonate, we don't get to these down here to make this. So this first one, all right, isopentyl PP. This is a curious one. If we don't have isopentyl PP, we don't make something called a selenoprotein. S-E-L-E-N-O protein. Do you know what the most famous selenoprotein is? I didn't know this either. It's glutathione. So if we don't take mevalonate to mevalonyl PP to isopentyl PP, we can't make glutathione. So in our bright thinking, we think, oh, we'll just take some glutathione, synthetic. So we're going to interrupt our little pathway and take some, we're going to take some glutathione because we don't have, we're on a statin and we don't have isopentyl PP. And glutathione being the most potent antioxidant in our body. This is simply from taking a statin, okay? Now, if we don't have isopentyl PP, guess what else besides glutathione we don't get? This is just from the one enzyme, the one molecule. We don't get conversion of K1 to K2. What do we need K2 for? Well, K2 is a fat-soluble vitamin that helps bring calcifications out of the arteries and place that calcification back into the bones and teeth. K2 is a vitamin that is very important for us. So could you say to yourself, if I'm blocking K2, could I possibly be increasing atherosclerosis simply by taking a statin? Oh my gosh, aren't statins supposed to decrease calcification? They actually don't. There has not been studies that show regression of calcifications. But we know the mechanism, okay? So if we're not getting any K2 production, we think to ourselves, why don't we just take K2? I'm not opposed to taking K2, but why don't we let our body naturally produce it? These things are get me thinking logically, and I'm going, oh, well, there are studies that show that taking a statin causes more calcification, and we've proven that on people who are on statins and their calcium score gets worse. Is it from the statin decreasing the production of K2, or is it your crappy diet of continued seed oils and sugars? I don't know. It could be both, right? But I don't know if I want to take chances. All right, so let's move on. What about farnesyl? Farnesyl PP. That's down here. So remember, we blocked it way up here. We're not getting everything downstream. So now we don't have farnesyl PP. Okay? What is that one good for? It's used to synthesize CoQ10. You guys know that we need CoQ10, right? And you've actually been told if you're on a statin, you better take CoQ10. But interestingly enough, we can't break down CoQ10 after a certain age. As we get older, we lack the ability to break down CoQ10 into the usable form. So I have recommended in the past that if you're going to take a statin, to take a CoQ10, perhaps even ubiquinol, the breakdown product. All right? So if we don't have CoQ10, we have an inability to make ATP in the mitochondria. The mitochondria need CoQ10 in order for them to do their thing in order to make ATP, which is an energy source. Remember, our mitochondria are like the powerhouses of our cells. So you can see that along the way, we are causing a huge detriment by taking a statin, only to prevent the very thing that we've been told is the cause of coronary artery disease, when in all reality, we're causing coronary artery disease by using that particular medicine. But do we know that, and do we tell the patients that? No, because we don't know that. We're called, it's a condition of ignorance. It's called ignorosis. We have a condition of ignorance. It's not that we can't learn it. It's just that we will claim that we don't know it. And we've never taken any effort to know it. But not you guys. That's why you're listening, okay? So, in addition, if we don't have this pathway working, all right? If we don't have this pathway working, guess what? We don't make cholesterol. But that was their goal, wasn't it? That was the goal, because the cholesterol is carried in lipoproteins. We do not have free-floating cholesterol because it's hydrophobic. And blood, it's not going to be in the blood because blood is half water. So you can't carry free cholesterol in the bloodstream. But you can carry the cholesterol in lipoproteins. For instance, LDL. So if you have more cholesterol, you're going to need more LDL. Is it possible that people who do not eat carbohydrates or a very low carbohydrate diet can get an elevation of their LDL? Absolutely. Why? Because you're consuming more cholesterol. Okay? And it needs to be carried in things like LDLs. So your LDL content is going to go up in order to carry all of it. And the cholesterol within the LDL is called an ester. You don't need to know all that. But just know that cholesterol needs to be carried in a vehicle. LDL, VLDL, chylomicrons, HDL. But we've been, I call it bamboozled, in that we do not need LDL. Somewhere along the line, from the early 1900s to today, we have been told that LDL is bad. And HDL, which picks up all the waste and carries it back to the liver, is good. What if all of these lipoproteins, starting with chylomicrons, are necessary in order to dump off things in the organs that need them? If we have a chylomicron, and a chylomicron is dumping off some stuff, we're going to get a VLDL. And then a VLDL is going to make an IDL, and IDL is going to make a LDL. But yet we're blaming it all on the LDL. He's got a bad rap. I mean, that poor guy. And HDL, he's the smallest of the dudes, and he's got a good rap. But yet we will take these medications, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, otherwise known as statins, otherwise known as Lipitor, Zocor, Crestor. Yes, we will take them in order to prevent our production of cholesterol. Now, if we don't have that end product, what do we lose? We lose immune system, because LDL tries to get rid of endotoxins, toxins, things that are not good for us, whether they be bacteria, viruses, fungus, whatever it is. LDLs help our immune system. What about calcification? I mentioned that along this pathway, we need vitamin K, K2. but we're not getting K2. So we're taking a medication that blocks a natural production of vitamin K2, a fat-soluble vitamin that helps decrease calcification in arterioles. So could it be said that statins increase atherosclerosis? Perhaps. What about making hormones? Cholesterol is needed to make hormones, our sex hormones and our steroid hormones. Our sex hormones being estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And what about our steroid hormones, like vitamin D? Vitamin D is a steroid hormone. So we're actually blocking the production of vitamin D, which is also needed for our immune system, among many other things. Remember, this is just a simplistic, I want you to think about taking statins and what it's doing downstream. What about cell repair? We need cholesterol for cell repair. We need cholesterol for the cell membranes. There's cholesterol in every cell. It's needed to actually for the red blood cell because they can't make their own cholesterol. What about on the cell, insulin receptors? We have an insulin receptor inside the cell, and statins actually make those receptors close down. Okay? We got a talker over here. If the receptors on the cell become resistant, we get high risk for diabetes. What have you heard about statins and diabetes? Increases the risk, right? So you can see where blocking all of the production of cholesterol, which is needed downstream, is harming us in so many other ways. What about the production of neurotransmitters? We need neurotransmitters from our brain. Our brain needs cholesterol. Can the brain make its own cholesterol? A little bit. So that is just a simple breakdown of our statins, okay? And I just briefly wanted to tell you about another medication that doctors are pushing on their patients, especially if they can't get the statin to get the LDL down, okay? These are called PCSK9 inhibitors. A PCSK9 inhibitor, think about these medications. They're actually inhibiting natural biologic processes. Anytime you take a medicine, an antibiotic, antibiotic, an inhibitor, anytime you take a medication, it's going to block a normal biologic, physiologic process that's in our body. You just think it's too much. The doctors think it's too much, so I'm going to give you something. I'm going to inhibit a natural biological or physiologic process that's supposed to go on in your body. Because obviously God wasn't appropriate and wasn't smart enough to do it right. So man's going to do it. Okay. So what is PCSK9? It's a molecule that blocks or removes LDL receptors on cells. So if we're going to block an LDL receptor, okay, that means that the LDL is going to remain in the bloodstream. Okay, it's going to remain in the bloodstream. I think that's a good thing. But other doctors think that's a bad thing because LDL is bad. So if I give you a PCSK9 inhibitor, I'm actually going to open up the LDL receptors on the cell and force all of the LDL out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Now, can the LDLs be used? No. That is the mechanism of lowering LDL in the bloodstream. It's all about lowering LDL in the bloodstream. Because LDL had the bad rap from the early 1900s moving forward. We still have not gotten past this. But it's getting out there, you guys. People are opening up. They're saying, wait a second. This LDL thing, I'm starting to question it. I'm not sure. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of all of this? You know, what do you think about this diet? What do you think about high cholesterol diets? What do you think about taking these medications? Devora says, I was never told anything by my doc about CoQ10, but now off statins per me, my triglycerides are high. I don't know why. I don't know the outworking of that part of cholesterol. Devora, are your triglycerides just recently elevated? Are they just recently elevated? Is it only for a short period of time that you've noticed that your triglycerides are elevated? And Devora, have you lost weight? Because if you lost weight, your triglycerides can go up. But I would encourage you to look at a bigger picture. What's your insulin level doing? Did it go up or down? What did your blood sugar do? Did it go up or down? What did your A1C do? Did it go up or down? And then worst case scenario, Devora, you don't have the enzyme that actually breaks down triglycerides. LPL. That's a kind of a hard thing to check, but it's possible. But I would look into all the other things first, because initially when people go on a low carb or no carb diet, they do get an elevation of triglycerides. The liver is trying to catch up from all the toxins, and you are losing weight, which is breaking down fat in your body. You're burning fatty acids. You're trying to make ketones. We can't make them fast enough, maybe. So by themselves, triglyceride elevations, I can't answer your question. Lucia says, interesting, I'm low on LDL. If you're low on LDL, I assume that you're low in cholesterol. Am I right? Because if you are low on cholesterol, that means that you, one, are not making enough, and two, you're not eating enough. In order for this whole process to begin to make cholesterol, you have to actually eat some saturated fat. If you eat saturated fat and cholesterol, if you are eating animal-based diet, you're going to, there is something called a negative feedback, and it will turn off your natural production from your liver of making fat, of making cholesterol. So if your LDL is low and you think to yourself, I've read enough, I've listened enough, I want to increase my LDL because I need it, especially as I'm aging. I've heard so many stories that, and studies, that the higher the LDL, the better, or the longer my lifespan is. So if that is the case, then you might want to consider increasing your fat intake. Good morning, Retail My Ride. Retail My Ride says it's about how you look, feel, and perform. But then you, Retail My Ride, would be perfectly fine eating a vegan or a vegetarian diet, right? Because anybody who goes from a standard American diet to a vegetarian or vegan or carnivore or ketovore or keto diet, they're going to look better, feel better, and perform better. They will. Anybody who goes from a crapola diet of sugar and seed oils is going to feel better on any of those diets. But are we getting the best results of how we look, how we feel, how we perform? Because I would venture to guess that over time, a vegan or vegetarian will no longer look good, feel good, and perform as well as a carnivore long term. Prove me wrong. SG Ryder says it took several PCPs to determine they were not looking out for my best interest. They all insisted I take a statin. Forget about it, SG Ryder says. But SG Ryder, what if that doctor truly in their heart of hearts believes that by lowering LDL, they're going to prevent you from having a heart attack? Is that the answer? I know you know the answer to this because you know that people, even on a statin and their LDL is very low, or not on a statin and their LDL is very low, they're still at risk of having a heart attack, and they do. They're having heart attacks with low LDL. Remember why you need all of the LDL. It's a carrier protein carrying cholesterol and the breakdown products of the cholesterol to the other organs that need it, the other body parts that need cholesterol. And so we're just shutting it down. And in the process, we're making you diabetic. We're making everybody girls. We're decreasing everybody's immune system. So perhaps being on a statin decreases our immune system, and you are at risk of getting sick. Let me see. From viruses floating in the air, maybe a little extra TB in there. We got the people sick. I never told them to stop eating any sugar or seed oils. In fact, I told them it was good for them. It'll lower your LDL even more. Take the seed oils. It'll lower your LDL. Yeah, in the meantime, it's causing a whole bunch of reactive oxygen species and inflammation. Oh, we didn't tell you that? Oh, no, we don't have any studies. Yes, we do have studies that show that. We have to think about the big picture. Is coronary artery disease a result of cholesterol? Do you simply just eat the fat and cholesterol and it goes into the coronary arteries, the arteries of the heart, and they clog them up? Just like pouring fat down a drain? No. Then you would have skipped the process of how cholesterol was needed to make bile acids, bile salts. Oh, that's just a minor detail. The liver makes bile salts. Bile salts are stored in the gallbladder. When we eat fat, we have to break those fats down. It's normal physiology. You don't pour them down the drain and they go to the coronary arteries and plug it up. No. We have bile salts that emulsify fats. Make them into chylomicrons. Chylomicrons break down into the VLDLs, then the IDLs, then the LDLs, then the HDL. Normal human physiology. Lucia says, I am just starting carnivore and glucophage. That is awesome. That is awesome. I can't wait to hear how you are in the next 4 months. The carnivore is going to make you feel wonderful in 1 month, but we're going to see multiple results in the positive with glucophage in combination with a carnivore diet. I cannot wait. You got to keep us in the loop, okay? Detail says, is Repatha a PCSK9 inhibitor? It sure is. I've been on it for 5 months, and we'll get blood work next week to share with you. Details. Let me just see something here. Because these PCSK9 inhibitors are so strong, they are so good at lowering LDL, driving it out of the bloodstream and getting it into the cells. I have seen LDL go down to 20. And honestly, they're using Repatha in conjunction with a statin. You are not only blocking a pathway of HMG-CoA, but you are now changing the receptors on the cells that are taking up all of the LDL out of the bloodstream. Whatever got loose, they're doing a dual. So if you blocked it in the first place with an HMG-CoA reductase, we're really going to do a whammy. We don't want you making it, and we don't want you eating it. We're going to lower LDL at all costs. Details, you are at risk of infection. You're at risk of increasing vascular atherosclerosis. You're at risk of decreasing your hormones. I don't know. Do we need testosterone to be a man? I think so. And all estrogens are made from testosterone. I mean, without the conversion of testosterone, we don't have estrone, we don't have estradiol, and we don't have estriol. So good luck with the testosterone converting to estrogens. And whatever testosterone is left in a female, we're going to get some male pattern symptoms because the testosterone, whatever's there, is not converting to estrogen. This is a mess, you guys. This is something that, I'm just not sure that we are taking it into consideration. Our immune system, the risk for getting diabetes, the risks for not making hormones. What about your cell membranes? I mean, the cells are being destroyed. Your mitochondria are being destroyed. They're not making energy. You got dying cells in your body. They can't live. The mitochondria are going through mitophagy too. They need to replenish themselves. We're just destroying them. These are mitochondrial toxins as well, and that's not mentioned. It's destroying the mitochondria. Devorah says, how does one know if they have FCS? My dad died young, 52. His dad died at age 60. Familial hypercholesterolemia. That is all I know. Never told if familial history of these cholesterol. You can get, it's a genetic marker. You can get a genetic test for familial hypercholesterolemia. But most of the time, doctors will say, oh, your cholesterol's high and your dad's cholesterol's high and his dad's high. Yeah, you got familial hypercholesterolemia. No, you don't. That's a diagnosis that requires a genetic test. So your ignorant doctor, without checking, gave you a diagnosis, right? Gave you a diagnosis without really looking. You guys, I've been on both sides of the do you want to call it a spectrum? I've been on both sides. There was a day and time that I truly believed that LDL was the cause of heart attacks. And it took 23 years to get me to understand that LDL is not the cause of coronary artery disease. There's something else going on, and no one looks into it. We have been so bamboozled with the buffoonery by Ansel Keys and others like him that basically brainwashed us, scared us to death. We are so scared. You guys, even though you listen to me and you listen to Dr. Barry and you listen to Dr. Ovadia and Dr. Paul Mason and Dr. David Diamond and all of these doctors, Dr. Malcolm Kendrick, despite the fact that you're listening to them, you have been indoctrinated and brainwashed for decades. It is going to take time for you to undo that experience. Everything that we live is from past experiences. And so if they brainwashed you into cholesterol and LDL is bad, it is hard to undo that indoctrination. Some of us, it can be undone. And others, we will spend decades ruminating over, what do I do? What do I do? I hear this, I hear that. Who's right? Who's wrong? Think about this. If you've been following a certain diet and it's gotten you to illness, you've been eating sugar and seed oils for decades, and you got disease, isn't it high tide that you reverse that and try something else? Or you just keep going down the pathway? Well, I'm just going to keep going down the pathway. I think it's just from simply aging. So you've been bamboozled again because they've convinced you that you're just simply going to get disease as you age. What if you don't? What if you don't get disease as you age? What if there's something else? Who says that we have to get disease? Oh, they told us. You're simply just going to get arthritis, you get wrinkles, and you get bad skin, and your brain starts to go and you get dementia. It's just a normal part of aging. Well, what if it's not? Are you just going to accept that premise without any proof? Well, you don't have anything else to experience because you've never seen a person. Rarely. Do you ever see very many people who just die and they have absolutely no disease? No, because the diets that they're on is causing the diseases, you guys. If you think about it, you say, Dr. Jensen, it's all about the genes. I have these genes. Oh, okay, you got the genes. Well, do you express every gene, or do you turn them on and turn them off? What if the things that you're doing is increasing the expression of those genes? You know, we have a mother and we have a father, right? And so the mother has these qualities and the father has these qualities, and then we make a quality of us. It's both. And so we would hope that our parents are healthy, but all genes are expressed into the offspring, right? And even they had genes that were expressed by their parents. But we can turn them on and off. It's called epigenetics. And so we want to live healthy, right? And you say, but I am living healthy. Then I would ask you, do you have any diseases? No, I don't have any. So you've checked. Well, my doctor said that I don't. They said my cholesterol was a little high. They put me on a statin or PCSK9 inhibitors. Well, what was the cause? What epigenetically turned on the gene to express a heart attack, to express a stroke, to express diabetes? You did. You turned it on. How you lived, your lifestyle, right? If you eat crapola, you're going to express the genes that produce crapola. If you don't sleep, if you smoke and you drink and you don't get in the sun and you're stressed all the time and you don't have community, all of these things lead to disease. We cannot live in a bubble, but we can sure help lessen the expression of some of our genes that we were born with. In fact, it started when we were in the womb and we can't do anything about it. You know, in the past, I have talked to you about the microbiome. I have told you that it is best that you not be delivered via C-section, that you be delivered vaginally, and then that after you are delivered vaginally, that you breastfeed. You see, your mother has a microbiome, and it's feeding you in the womb through the placenta. But your dad had a part in that. His microbiome is in you as well. And so you would hope that your parents' microbiome is healthy, because you're going to express that and grow that by the time you are delivered. But what if you're born via C-section? You know, when we're born via the vaginal canal, we get exposed to the microbiome that's in the vaginal canal. That helps baby survive. But yet, we deliver C-section, and we never take the secretions out of the vaginal mucosa and wipe it all over the baby. That would be one way we could get around having to deliver C-section. You can't help it. We got, you know, you're getting decelerations, baby's starting to decelerate and, you know, starting to crash. We got to do something fast. Simply taking your gloved hand, doctor or dad, you say, if you're not going to do it, I am. You take your gloved hand, because you're in there in the C-section at the head of the bed, and you say, if you're not going to do it, I am. I'm wiping that all over my baby. Just the vaginal secretions will help the biome develop in that infant. But yet we do C-sections and no one ever does it. The nurse never does it. The dad never does it. The doctor never does it. And we put the baby at risk of getting infections in the hospital. I mean, it's crazy, right? All of these little things that people don't know. But not you guys. You're getting it. Are there any questions? Okay. Devorah is clarifying. She said the doc never told her that her high levels were familial. She's just trying to figure it out with my help. Again, Devorah, we can talk about diet. We can talk about your activity. We can talk about your medications. There's so many things that go in. Are you getting outside? Are you getting exposed to infrared light? There's a lot of things. Candace says, besides a carnivore, can you please name one or two other things that will greatly improve health? Morning sun, weightlifting, walking. Thank you. All of those things, Candace. Besides, you could say, Dr. Jensen, I just think that you're biased toward the carnivore. I guess you could use those words. I am biased toward keeping a macronutrient out of our system that is not essential. There is nothing essential about an exogenous, outside the body carbohydrate, because our body can make it. If my body can make it, why would I consume it outside of my body? For taste? No, because that's not what I'm living for. I'm fueling my body to make it go. I'm not trying to make it all happy and cuddly. That's emotion. We don't live by emotion. We survive by the survival mechanism. If we were to use emotion on survival, we would probably die. If you are in a bunker with me and you are addicted to carbohydrates, you can't get enough, you get hungry, I don't want you on my team, because emotionally you will break down. You will break down because you're hungry. You are hungry because your brain and your gut biome has been feeding on sugar all its life for decades. I don't know if I want you in the bunker protecting my life, because you are going to succumb to hunger. If you do not have that addiction and you've turned it off by stop eating carbohydrates, I want you in my bunker, because you are a survivor. You and your body will make just the amount of glucose that you need to survive. I'm not telling you that we are going to be sitting in the bunker for 7 days without eating, because you know as well as I do that your body will start to eat itself for nutrition, and it'll start with the fat, okay? As long as there is fat on your body, we can make fatty acids, which make ketones, which is an energy source. But when that's gone, it's going to eat the muscle. So we are breaking down muscle when we fast for long periods of time. Simple as that. Some doctors will say, no. There's glycogen stores. Well, how fast do those last? 48 to 72 hours. Well, then my liver will make it just enough. Nope, your brain's going to take the rest of that. Your brain needs to function more than your muscle. So, to answer Candace's question in continuation, yes, I believe in a ketogenic, low-carb, no-carb diet, okay, for health. What else? Sun? I think sun in general. Morning sun? Yes. But in sun in general? Yes. Sun is healthy. When it's not healthy, it's not causing your skin cancers. You are causing your skin cancers by what you consume, what we breathe in the air. If there are toxins and chemicals in the air and we consume them, smell them, put them in, we are encouraging cancers. But what about when we intentionally eat them? The sugar, the seed oils. Now we're causing glycation, and glycation end products is a problem. That's cancer, that's wrinkles, that's cataracts, that's macular degeneration, that's heart failure, that's kidney failure. All of those things. Then you're gonna say, well, but I don't want cancer, so I'm just gonna put a sunscreen on, I'm gonna block the rays of the sun. Okay, so you're not getting your vitamin D. Well, there goes your immune system. That's why people feel good, even if they're sick. I tell them, go outside. The ability to get well, when you go out in the sun, you feel amazing. Even if you got sunburned, you feel amazing. Because all of that sun is healing. I'm not saying overdo it. Weightlifting, absolutely weightlifting. at weightlifting over walking because my mitochondria and my fatty liver is going to go away when I weightlift. I want muscle. Muscle is the organ of longevity. The more muscle I have, the longer I'm going to live. I want muscle. Walking does not do that. You have to lift heavy things through space in order to build muscle. And as we age, it's going to be harder and harder to build any muscle. Harder to build muscle. Then if you are depleting it of nutrients like fat and cholesterol and protein, because most people as they age don't eat nutrition-wise, they do not eat enough protein, and especially not enough fat, which we need. So yeah, your diet plays a huge role, but yeah, muscle. I hope to lift until the day I die. I do. And since going carnivore or ketovore or even keto on some days, my strength is increasing. My muscle mass is close to where I was 20, 30 years ago. At my prime, when I was bodybuilding, I know a little thing about, a thing or two about nutrition. Was I completely accurate back then? No, but I did know this one thing. If I ate carbohydrates, I got fat. If I took the carbohydrates out of my system, I got up on stage with 3% body fat. I preserved my muscle with enough protein, which fortunately gave me just enough blood sugar to prevent me from being catabolic. So I think I've lived it, all right? I know that carbs make us fat. You know, just think about a cow or a pig for that matter. If we want a pig to grow big and strong and fat so we can get them to slaughter much faster, what do we give them? There's a study, there's an article, there's a study that was performed on skim milk and grains. Skim milk and grains, fatten up pig, getting them to market faster, to slaughter, to make more money. Well, what does skim milk and grains sound like? Sounds like breakfast cereal in a bowl. We're making us fatter. We're making our kids fatter. We're giving them sugar. We're giving them seed oils. And then we wonder why they got autism and can't think straight. And they got behavioral problems. And they're getting into drugs and alcohol and premarital sex. We don't make good decisions when we're not using our brain. Well, they don't have a brain because we've been giving them crap. We are the cause, parents, of our kids not having a chance at life. First, you know, we deliver them via C-section. I know you have to. You could wipe some vaginal secretions all over them, get a microbiome going. But you can breastfeed. Oh no, that was way too hard. Oh, they just weren't latching on. Oh really? You gave it your old 1-2 punch? You can't even pump your breasts and get the milk? No, none of that. Okay. So then when they weaned off of the sugar and seed oil and iron infested formulas, you're just going to give them what? Carnivore? No, we heard that we're just going to give them bottled, you know, the jars of food, you know, the carrots and the things. We're going to just, we're going to, they don't need meat. They're going to choke. Oh, so all of the people before us feeding their babies only had meat and their babies were choking? I wonder how you got here. I mean, have you taken your family tree back? You had to have come from somewhere back there where mama chewed on the cow, the deer, the antelope, the elk, the bison, whatever it was growing out in the wild that you killed and slaughtered. She chewed it down, salivated it up, gave it to the baby who gnawed on it, sucked on it, got all the stuff out. Nope, they didn't have formula. And they didn't have goldfish and Oreo cookies and potato chips and macaroni and cheese and spaghetti. No, they didn't have any of that. Candace says, I love your bias. I am already carnivore, just want to know more things I can do. Yeah, you got to lift weights. You got to sleep. Sleep is so important. 8-9 hours of sleep every day. Remaining as low amount of stress as possible. We need some stress. We need cortisol. It's a normal function of life to have cortisol. It's when we are chronically exposed to it that it becomes a problem. So lowering our stress, praying. If you meditate, meditate. If you go for walks out in the wilderness and listen to birds, we are not getting out in nature. We're in a room full of these blue lights that are poisoning us. And we're full of 5G. We got EMF just swarming through our bodies. Go outside. Get rid of some of it. Stand barefoot on the ground. Transfer some electrons. I don't know if it works. Seems great to me. I'm going to do it. It doesn't hurt me. Unless I'm standing in some dog poop, it's not going to hurt me to stand barefoot on the grass. And that's not even going to hurt me. It's just going to take some time to wash it off. Hey. My boy. He's alive. Okay. So sleep, stress reduction, lifting weights, sun exposure, carnivore diet, no smoking, no drinking. What else? What else, you guys? What else are you guys doing? What else are we doing for health? Do you need medicines? Do you need shots? Do you need somebody to help your immune system work better, or can you do it on your own? How can you increase your immune system? Sleep, sun, eating fat and cholesterol. The very things, but yet we are so intrigued by the fact that we're not going to die. You are. I hate to break it to you. Everybody's going to die. It's just, how do you want to die? Yes, Haskins, red light therapy. Get in a sauna. Get in a red light sauna. There's been studies, I'm glad you brought this up, because there's been studies that say, like when we do, I do red mask for my face, okay? This has a red light. It's supposed to be an infrared light. Do I know if it's infrared? I hope it is. I pray it is. I think it's working, okay? So red light therapy, right? That's at a wavelength probably in the 800s. Maybe there's some infrared, there's some red. They're in the 800s wavelength, okay, where it's supposed to start stimulating the collagen and wouldn't you want to put that all over your body? I would. If I had one of those, I would put I would stand inside the whole body for 9 minutes. Because I've seen over the past 1.5 to 2 years with this mask, an improvement in the skin on my face, just my face. I should put it on my hands and do the thing, right? Hello, GTAM. About studies that have shown where a wavelength of up to 3,000 is cardiovascular protective. There are studies ongoing right now. Why is that? Because when we have some sort of infrared exposure, we are releasing something normal in our body called nitric oxide. Our cells lining the arteries in our body, epithelial cells, release nitric oxide. They make it and release it. Nitric oxide shortly after cardiovascular, shortly after is some sort of surgery, right? Either stent or angioplasty, coronary artery bypass graft, and we accept from the doctors to take medicines to do that. You take an ACE inhibitor. ACE inhibitor has been shown to release nitric oxide. Some alpha and beta blockers also can help release nitric oxide. We will take a medicine with that mechanism with a whole bunch of other side effects like diabetes. And we take a beta blocker, we increase our risk of getting depression. We increase our risk of worsening our asthma. We increase our risk of slowing down our heart rate and getting diabetes. I don't know. I don't think beta blocker. Yeah, but it's going to help your heart function. Well, I've seen a study just recently on infrared sauna and sitting out in the sun for your heart healing. I think I'd rather try the sun and some infrared light than a medicine. No, you guys can, the beauty of it, you have free choice. You can make your own decisions. Make your own choice. If you want to take the medicines, take the medicines. If you want to go off the beaten path and sit out in the sun and get in an infrared sauna at 3,000 wavelength, try it. I mean, seriously, the reason you got where you're at, needing a coronary artery bypass graft, is the fact that you spent decades eating crapola. So if you're not going to change your diet, I think I would take their medicines. I mean, you probably have a better chance. Just saying. Candace says, can you talk about a few ways to heal the thyroid? I'm carnivore and already do most of the things you've mentioned. Good. I recently cut out dairy and eggs. Am I on the right path? I have tests next week. Why would you cut out dairy? I'm just asking. And why would you cut out eggs? Just asking. If you are just eating meat, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just want to know your thought process on why you would cut out dairy and eggs. Oh, she was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I don't take any medicines. So, Candace, are you thinking, I'm just asking, are you thinking that Hashimoto's being autoimmune thyroiditis? Let's sound out the words. Itis of the thyroid. Itis means inflammation. So you have inflammation of your thyroid. Okay? You have inflammation of your thyroid. Autoimmune. You have antibodies to your thyroid. Auto, you, immune, you have antibodies against your thyroid. So you checked your autoantibodies to your thyroid and they were elevated. And you decided, I'm not going to take medicines, which is Synthroid or Armour or NP thyroid, some sort of desiccated thyroid hormone, or a synthetic Synthroid. Notice how they stopped calling it Synthroid and they're calling it by its generic now, levothyroxine, because they really don't want you to know that it was actually synthetic. That's just beside the point. It got me thinking one day, no wonder they don't call it Synthroid anymore, synthetic thyroid. But then people don't care anyway. They'll take synthetic anything. Anyway, so are you on the right path by completely eating meat and I'm guessing butter? Well, no, you gave up dairy, so no butter. And you gave up eggs. No. Granted, you have an inflammatory condition. So what is it about dairy that causes inflammation? The casein and sometimes the whey. Those are the proteins inside dairy. Dairy proteins, casein and whey. All right? So if you are reacting to dairy, it is usually the casein. I'm not saying that you can't react to the whey, but the casein is very inflammatory. The casein is very addicting because of the casomorphins. We have opioid receptors in our brain. And casein, casomorphins. So some people say, well, I'm going to drink A2 milk instead of A1 milk. Or I'm going to do A1 milk and not A2 milk. Everybody's different. I get reactions when I drink A2. It's the difference in the casein. So I'm okay with you getting rid of milk. We are basically the only mammals who drink another mammal's milk after the age of 5. So do we need milk? No, because it's a carbohydrate, right? There's some protein in it. That's the casein in the whey. There's some fat, but not in skim. But the fat, yeah, that's a great source. Now, what about those eggs? You think that eating the eggs, I'm guessing, I'm just speculating, I don't know, you haven't answered. Is eating the egg telling you that it's inflaming your thyroid and increasing your autoantibodies in your body? Is that what's doing it? Is it the eggs? So you're going to take these things out, and you're only going to eat meat, and then you're going to recheck your antibodies, right, in, say, 8 to 10 weeks, and you're going to see if they came down on a meat-only carnivore diet. Meat, salt, and water. Meat, salt, and water. Your lion diet. You're on your lion diet, okay? You gave up eggs. You gave up dairy. All you got is meat, salt, and water. Your lion diet. And you're going to recheck in 8 to 10 weeks and see if your autoantibodies, your antibodies, came down. I imagine that they're going to. And then you go another 8 to 10 weeks and they're going down again. Now, are you ever going to get to 0 on your antibodies? I doubt it. I doubt that you will get to 0. But when they're elevated, that means you're in a flare. That means you're inflamed. That means you've eaten something inflammatory. So Candace tells us she cut out egg and dairy because those things cause swelling and eye bags. So you don't know which one it was. Did you just cut out eggs and then you still got the eye bags and then you cut out dairy? See, we got to be systematic, because what is it about the egg that caused inflammation? Is it the white or is it the yolk? My guess, it would be the white. So why wouldn't you keep the yolks, which is the most nutritious part? In fact, there's like 3 things inside the white part of the egg that is reactive. So simply, good morning, Dr. Christy. Everyone say hello to Dr. Christy. She jumped in an hour into our session, an hour and 9 minutes, so 69 minutes into the session. And she wants to say good morning to everybody. She must have slept in. Okay, so if I was looking at an egg, I would think, okay, I'm going to keep the yolks because I need that nutrition, I need that fat, I need that cholesterol. Or here's better. You've already gotten rid of them, right? You've gotten rid of them. Okay? Keep them out. And when you do go back into it, just add the yolks. Just the yolks. Boil them, whatever you have to do. And just eat the yolks. Although you want them a little runny, because so I would do soft boil to get rid of all the white. Okay? Oh, so this is what Candace did. She spent her hard-earned money and did a sensitivity test. And both egg white came up, and I'm guessing dairy, came up positive on her very expensive sensitivity test. Candace, don't waste your money again. Do not waste your money again. You are the best sensitivity test there is. Okay? Eliminate them and add one back partially into your system and see how you react. They eliminated eggs. Do you think there's not an agenda to that? I don't want them to eat the most 100% bioavailable food. It is the most nutritious food you can eat is an egg. Yet, you did a sensitivity test and you trusted it. That you are sensitive to something because it caused an eye bag. So you got rid of all of it and the eye bag mysteriously went away. I would do your own sensitivity test, but you need to wait now. You've eliminated them. You're going to wait your 10 weeks. You're going to recheck your labs. You're going to possibly, if you choose to, because you have free choice, add back yolks and see how you react. And you'll do it for a couple weeks. You'll know. You know your body. You don't need a test to tell you. Save your money. Buy some glucoferrin. Ask Dr. Christy about it. Okay. That was... Oh, Dr. Christy says, I sure did sleep in. Went to bed early, too. Good for you. We were talking about sleep, Dr. Christy. How sleep can improve our health. How getting in the sun can improve our health. How praying can improve our health. How being low carb, high fat can improve our health. How being stress-free or low stress can improve our health. About how we can have community with people and improve our health. The families that live together friends that live together and do things together and be together. Think about all those families that lived in one little hut together. Think about the families like Hispanics and the Asians, how they all live in extended families, all live together in the home. They end up living the longest. We, white people in America, separate, leave the nest at 18 and go our separate ways and thinking we do not need our parents anymore. Miss Jen says, I believe you. What do you believe me on? Dr. Christie says, I jumped into a juicy part. Kinda. You did. It's all been juicy. It's all been juicy for the past hour and 15 minutes. Candace says, I really didn't trust it, the sensitivity test. That's why I asked you. Well, you're very, I don't know it all, Candace. I'm just trying to walk through it, okay? But it would be, I would want to do my own little test because I know my body, okay? And it's unfortunate, but Candace also says, thank you for answering my questions. My doctor won't even talk to me about food. Because, Candace, I'm guessing that your doctor doesn't know anything about food. You know more than your doctor. You absolutely know more than your doctor. Your doctor is a recipe book. You have this symptom, you get this medicine. It's all about fulfilling a recipe, getting you in and getting you out of his office as fast as possible so he can shuffle in the next cattle. You're a herd. You are a part of a herd that you trust your doctor, who works for you, by the way. You do not work for your doctor, but you make them a lot of money. If you do not ask questions, if they don't answer your questions, then you need to find a different doctor. The doctor works for you, not the other way around. But yet we have held doctors to such high standards. My patients have held me to standards like that. I try to tell them, do not do that. I may not know something. I likely do not know something or multiple things. I am here just to give you information. Just like I'm here online, on Instagram and YouTube, giving information that you can use to make logical decisions. And sometimes having this information arms you with the retaliation that can occur from your primary care doctor or your cardiologist. It's really too bad that we have to defend ourselves as patients in the presence of our doctors who are so high and mighty, but we've done that for them. We've made them high and mighty. We've elevated their status as if we don't poop and put our socks on the exact same way as you guys. I'm not saying that I'm lowering myself. I did go to a lot of years of schooling. I had to work very hard, very, very hard. I respect myself for getting through all of that. But I don't respect the fact that I didn't open my eyes and open my ears to other things. Instead, I allowed myself to get indoctrinated by what they wanted to teach me so I could share it to you. And that is why doctors get defensive, because we have this education and we have been taught and we give you the information and you do not listen. Yet the information you're coming to find out was the wrong information. It was fraudulent. It was fake. It was false. You're finding it out. And so now you're rubbing and irritating your doctor because they're still in the unknown and now you are in the known. You're not completely connecting all the dots. None of us are. That's why we continue to journey and we try to connect little dot and little dot and little dot, right? We can't just know it all, but they don't even want to connect the dots because they are so ingrained. Their past experiences are leading them ever so present into the future. And they have no urge or inclination to jump out of that matrix to see if there is something else out there. And so what can we do as a patient for our doctor? Hand them a book. You know what? Put bookmarks. Highlight certain things. A study, highlight it in the book. It's not coming from you, it's coming from the book. Doctor, I read this book. I had a patient who brought me 7 books. Doctor, I want to say this with all due respect. but I think you're wrong about statins and cholesterol. I said, what? What? It took me probably 2 years. One, to read the books because I didn't make the time. But two, to actually admit I was wrong. And then I humbled myself. And then I apologized to the many patients who told me delicately and with firmness that there's a possibility, strong possibility, that I was wrong, which I think I was. Right now, everything that I'm learning from those 7 books, from my patients, from the few doctors, the handfuls of doctors that I listen to online, I'm gathering information and I'm sharing it with you. Some people like to listen to Dr. Berry. Some people like to listen to Dr. Chafee. Some people like to listen to Dr. David Diamond. Some people like to listen to Dr. Malcolm Kendrick. And some people like to listen to Dr. J. We all have something. I like to listen to all those people. That's why I named them off. I like to listen to them. I have found great knowledge, and it's expanded my brain to continue to read and to listen and to open up my thought process. Like, this cannot be this straightforward, that LDL and only LDL is the cause of heart disease. It can't be. It can't be. There's so many things that we need LDL for. And so I think the powers, the elites are figuring this out, that we're getting smarter about LDL. And they're starting to soften their ways a little bit. And they're using other buzzwords like ApoA and ApoB and this other one called LP(a). You know, LP(a), 10 years ago, I was already starting to study LP(a). And then no one studied LP(a). But all of a sudden, everybody's hearing about LP(a) 10 years later. Why? Because they're figuring out that people are catching on to LDL. So let's move the goalpost. Maybe it's not so much all LDL, but it's this one guy down here. So we've already made our money on the statins, and we're running dry on the PCSK9 inhibitors. I mean, right? Now we're gonna move the goalpost, and now we're gonna make a medicine that's specifically for the LP(a), because we found out that is the little guy that's causing all of the coronary artery disease. You got LP(a)? That's why people with low LDL are still having heart attacks, because it was the LP(a). And we can't do anything about LP(a). It's genetic. Never mind about epigenetics, turning on and turning off things. No, it's genetics. Everybody's got the gene. Oh boy, LP(a) gene. Oh, you're death. You're the ones that are having a heart attack. Everybody's got LP(a), by the way. It's just that some of us have more. But let's check in on the diet. And let's see, can LP(a) go down? I've proven it just on you guys, just in my few consults that I've had. You guys are proving that the on-off switch of epigenetics is working. You don't feed it, and it does not multiply. So the LP(a) is going down into what I consider a normal, optimal level. Just enough. Dr. Christie says, I replayed yesterday's live all night in my sleep. That's what put you to sleep and got you all of your 9 hours of sleep, Dr. Christie. It must have been really good. Okay. Miss Jen asks, you probably have covered this hot topic, HRT. Miss Jen, what would you like to know about HRT? Is there something burning inside of you in regards to HRT that you need to know? Dr. Christie says, oh, I have to clip that for my son. What part? What part are you going to clip for your son? Masa Latif. I'm sorry if I messed that one up. Absolutely, you're right. Americans and Europeans should change their family life and live together. This has definitely helped stress relief. I agree. You know, I look at these families, especially in my neighborhoods, the Indians, the Hispanics, they got extended families. I mean, you're seeing people coming out the doors and you go, where did they all fit? And we live maybe 2 people, husband and wife, and 1 child. No grandparents, no great grandparents. Everybody's got to have their separate little lives. And we let them into our life when we want to. That is why we have dysfunctional families. That's why there is so much of divorce, and we just let it go. You know what? I can't live with that person anymore. No. You know why? Because we don't have God at the core of our marriages. Nowhere is God found. That's for another time, I guess. I still haven't heard from Miss Jen on what was it, Miss Jen, that wants to know about HRT. Miss Jen also asked, have you heard of Dr. Courtney Hunt? I have heard of Dr. Courtney Hunt. Chat with Lucy says, yes, I'm Latina. We live together. Our elders stay with us, not retirement homes. No offense. In many countries, elderly are a blessing. Here, considered old, swept aside, sending love to all of you. Chat with Lucy, thanks you for putting that in such eloquent terms, because this is what even our government thinks of our elderly. They're worthless breathers. They suck Social Security and they take all of our resources. So if they happen to die, good. And families actually do that to each other. We will put off our own family. We push them under the rug. But like she says, like Chat with Lucy says, in certain cultures, they are a blessing because of the experiences. They've taught the children how to look at things in the ground. They've taught the kids how to sew. They are a wealth of information. Yesterday, I talked to a friend, and she was talking about that she has had, in the past, a job where she did physical therapy or therapy, occupational therapy with the elderly. She loved working with the seniors because of the wealth of experience, with the love that they have, was amazing to her. It made every single day beautiful for her to go to work. And we could experience that in our own families. I never had a chance to be with my mom when I was growing up. But now God has opened a door where I have that opportunity. And I am going to take a hold of the horns, and I'm going to make sure that I have that opportunity to learn from my extended family. Okay? Because in the process of not knowing her, do you think I knew her parents? No. Her sister? Nope. My cousins? No. We need to look at our elderly as a blessing and as a wealth of experience versus sweeping them under the rug as if they're going to die soon and you're just going to feed them whatever and let them just live until the day they die. I'm okay with that if that's what you want to do. But these families that have community within the families, they're living longer, all of them. And you know what they'll say? Oh, my mom lived to be in their 98 and her parent before there was 100. And right. And now we see people dying in their 60s and 70s. Didn't George Foreman just die yesterday? Day before? My mom was kind of heartbroken. She didn't know George Foreman. But you know what she said? He was so young. He was only 76. That's why she was heartbroken. I don't know if she was heartbroken just because of George Foreman. I don't know. But see, we elevate these people, these famous people, when we got the most famous people living, our family, our own family are the most famous people with experiences. Yet we will hold somebody like George Foreman. He was probably a delightful person. I don't know. All I'm trying to do is make a point that my mom felt heartbroken because he died at such a young age. Maybe it was too many punches to his head. I don't know. Maybe he was putting vegetables in his George Foreman grill. And all of the... I don't know. I could speculate. Dr. Christie says, must be a drug for LP-little-a coming up. There is, Dr. Christie. We've talked about this. You know there is. There's a drug for LP-little-a. They were studying in the 80s until statins came. Then all research came to a screeching halt. It sure did. And if Pfizer would have been real with us, they would have shown that statins actually worsen or increase the risk of coronary artery disease. But no, they faked all the data. I can't see it, brushed it under the rug, but they knew. Pfizer knew when they first made Lipitor. But prior to that, they bought Park Davis that had, I believe it was Lescol. It was Lescol or Mevacor. It was Mevacor. I believe it was Mevacor. Is that Lescol? Lovastatin is Lescol. Lovastatin is Mevacor. I can't remember. See all of the, I think Lovastatin is Mevacor. Mevacor was the brand name. Lovastatin was the generic name. Christy, you probably know. I don't have anything I can look it up. But Park Davis owned that first statin. And they started with the Framingham study. All of this was from the Framingham study, which ended up being the total opposite. But nobody knows that because they never looked. But if you know the true results of the Framingham study, you would never take a statin. You would never want to lower your LDL. The craziest things. Miss Jen says, wondering if I should consider it. I'm 52 and still cycling. But Miss Jen, you would consider HRT, synthetic fake hormones made from plants, when your body can make its own. What? Are you saying my body can still make hormones even after I'm menopausal? That's interesting. Well, sure. Once your ovaries shut down, menopause means cessation of menses. That's all. That's all it means. It didn't say anything about cessation of estrogen. But let's just say that your ovaries shut down. They're no longer producing their 5% estrogen they were giving you all along, all of your formative years. 5%. So where is the other estrogen production? I'm glad you asked. The adrenal glands. The adrenal glands. They make hormones. Well, how do they do that? Well, they can only do it if they have the building block. Well, what's that? Fat and cholesterol. From what? Animals. Well, what about plants? Those are called phytosteroids. We cannot assimilate those into our body. But we can assimilate mammalian cholesterol because we have the same mammalian cholesterol. So if we eat enough fat and cholesterol, we will stimulate our adrenal glands to make DHEA. And DHEA will make androstenedione. And androstenedione will convert to testosterone. And testosterone will convert to your estrone. And your estrone will convert to your estradiol. And estradiol can convert to estriol if you need it. Amazing. And you are only going to consider a fake synthetic plant-based HRT? I think I would try the alternative. Less chemicals, especially from plants, and put in animal-based products and see your own body. Then you keep your stress level down. You get out in the sun. You don't smoke. You don't drink. You keep cycling. You spend time with your family and all of your family. You commune. You pray. All of these things. You sleep. You get a new job if they're harming you. Well, I can't make as much money. Is that all you need is money? Or do you need health? Isn't health wealth? We just got to pick our poisons, you guys. Miss Jen, do you recommend HRT? If so, when? I can't, Miss Jen, recommend HRT because it's fake and synthetic. Or is there a more natural way? I just went through it. Start with your fat and cholesterol. Stimulate your adrenal glands to make DHEA and on down the line. By the way, it's the fat and cholesterol that make pregnenolone. Pregnenolone stimulates the adrenal glands. I should just make that Without fat and cholesterol, we don't get pregnenolone. And without pregnenolone, we can't have progesterone. Without pregnenolone, we can't have the DHEA from the adrenal glands. It's fat and cholesterol, and it's from animals. I am 52, still cycling, but I'm having symptoms like a few hot flashes. Increase your fat. You are continuously releasing cortisol too. You are constantly cycling, I'm guessing for long periods of time. Your immune system sucks. You have a lowered immune system for the very reason that you think that you're doing it for your health. You're not. You're sitting on a bike, constantly doing things. You're causing stress. Your body has to accommodate over long periods of time. If I got on the bike and continuously cycled, I am causing release of fight or flight hormones, sympathetic. I'm stimulating me over and over and no relief in sight. I'm going to be sick, and I am going to suffer the consequences of insulin resistance and iron overload and all the toxicities from the air. I'm not telling you to quit cycling. Maybe I am. But you are wiping out your natural production of your own hormones. I don't know if that makes sense to you. And usually when people cycle and do this, they stop eating fat, and especially women. Miss MS Jen, I think you're probably a female. You're talking about menopause. You're having hot flashes. You're probably not eating very much. You're nutritionally deprived of fat and cholesterol and protein. Most women are. They're protein deficient. And they have too many carbs. And so all of that combination of low fat, low protein, high carbs, cycling, it's no wonder you're having hot flashes. It wouldn't surprise me if you're sick all the time and have allergies and have irritable bowel and cramping and bloated and farting and all of the things. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Haskins says, should root canal teeth be taken out? I listened to research and said they are all infectious. This is a deep-seated question, deep-seated. I have read very similar things, and all I can tell you is this. If you decide to remove your amalgams, your caps, your heavy metals from your teeth, and you do removals of root canals, please do it slowly. Please take time, over time, one at a time, slowly. Okay? Just do it slowly. I would look into that. If you're thinking about doing it, I would do it very slowly, and I would do more research. Okay? I just would. Chat with Lucy says, I said the same. Oh no, he was still young. I know. I can't stand people saying, well, it's old age. We're all going to get sick. I don't know. I had a patient yesterday, day before. Yesterday was Saturday. I had a patient the day before who said, I asked him, I said, what do you think your life expectancy is? He goes, I don't really know, but not very long. Well, okay, I get it. And he says, what about you? And I said, well, I have a feeling I'm going to be a centurion. If God has his way and he wants me to stay here and share the gospel, the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, his son, who came to earth in the flesh, who paid our debt, who died, who was buried, and rose again to conquer death, to give us eternal life, that God, yeah, if he still wants me to live to be a centurion, I think I'm going to follow through. But I got to do all of the things. I got to sleep good, pray good. I got to commune with people. I got to lift weights. I got to eat low sugar and low seed oils. If at all none, zero sugar, zero seed oils. I have to do all of these things. Stand barefoot in the ground and be in the sun and all of these things that I've been talking about. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't this, that, whatever. Go lift weights. I think I'm going to be a centurion. Epigenetics tells us that we are going to live. Our DNA says that we can live to 120. If, the people who say that they're not going to live that long or don't want to, are in the shittiest of health. Excuse my language, but you know what I mean. They're in crappy health and they don't want to continue their life because they see themselves aging. They see themselves not feeling good. They're poisoning themselves with drugs and alcohol and smoking. And drugs meaning sugar, because it is a drug. We're doing it to ourselves. So I stand to reason. Why would you want to live that long? Because you're going to be miserable. Miss Jen says, yes, tell me. I love this kind of information. Thank you. You're very welcome. Oh, Miss Jen just made her decision. I don't want you to just make your decision right now on whether or not you're going to do HRT, but think it through. Try some other things. Try some other things, okay? Miss Jen says she loves animal fat. Me too. Chat with Lucy says, I stopped HRT October of 24, still getting hot flashes. Doctor was blunt. You took for 20 years. It will take years to recover. Bummer. 20 years, Chat with Lucy was bamboozled, and she's been off of it for 4 months now. Yes, Lucy, it is going to take time for your body to make its own hormones, okay? But you got to treat it right. Treat your body right. You got to feed it right, and you got to live the lifestyle. And you say, but oh boy, you guys are listening and say, yeah, but that's so, it sounds like deprivation. Deprivation of poison? You're depriving yourself of poison. You want poison? No, I think it's liberating. I've liberated myself from eating poison or consuming poison. Being around toxic people, poisonous, toxic people who bring me down instead of lift me up. I want to be around a bunch of God-believing, Bible-believing, Jesus-believing people who lift me up instead of tear me down, who tell me that I can do something, knowing that I can as long as I have Jesus. Philippians 4:13, I believe it is. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yes, Miss Jen, I would say more fat to stop hot flashes. What does that look like? Double your protein. How much protein? Miss Jen, you're cycling. You are expending a lot of energy. You need protein to build those muscles that you're breaking down. You're just eating away at your protein. You're bodily storing up all of your fat, and you're eating away at your muscles. They need fat, cholesterol, and protein from animals like us. We are an animal. So eat things. Oh, I just can't eat animals. Let me just share something with you. This might sound really, really obvious, but in order for you to survive, something had to die. Something had to die. An animal had to die, or a plant had to die for you to survive. You're not going to survive very long on a plant, but let me just say, it had to die. So for all of you who have that cuddly feeling about the animals, you didn't think one thing about planting all of your stuff, tearing up the soil, monocropping, killing the microorganisms, pushing away all of the little small creatures and the worms. You didn't think anything about that and the monocropping and the agricultural revolution. But all you think about is the poor cow that died, that was grown at a farm, who let them graze and roam on the ground, eating grass, pooping and reinvigorating the biome of the soil. Oh no, but not the farmer who's monocropping, spraying glyphosate all over things. And they'll admit it to you. And then they'll say, and there's one even worse, but we got to use it. Really? You got to use it. Sure. And then it's in the air. And so you're breathing it in. So yes, something has to die for you to survive. But I'm going to choose the humanely treated animal or plant. I don't want no plant that's been inhumanely treated. Why would I want a plant that's inhumanely treated? If I put you on a desert island, but the desert island has plants on it, but you know they're all poisonous, and there's a cow, and you can survive for 10 days on that cow, maybe a month, until rescue comes? Are you going to eat the poison plant, thinking that you're not killing a life, which is yours? Just kidding. You might be. Or are you going to kill the cow and eat and survive? It's a decision you have to make. I don't know. How are you going to do it? What are you going to do? Something for you to live has to die. Something. has to live or die for you to live. Miss Jen, how much fat do you need? Double your protein, double your weight. If you are a cyclist, I'm guessing that you are a fairly lean, mean machine, right? And you're, say, 130 pounds, you're getting 130 grams of protein, you need 250 grams of fat. 250. What does that look like? Almost 3 sticks of butter. 90 grams per stick of butter. I'm just giving it to you in a fat content. A stick of butter is 90 grams. Times 3 is 270. That's what it looks like. A tablespoon of lard, a tablespoon of tallow, 14 grams. How many 14s do you need to get to 250? We aren't even close to the amount of fat that we need in order to sustain our body and the things that go on in our body. Okay? I didn't know this either. There's a great book, Miss Jen, that you might want to pick up, and it's by Elizabeth Bright, B-R-I-G-H-T, Dr. Elizabeth Bright. I don't know if she might be in Australia, but she wrote a book on menopause, and I thought it was exceptional. I've listened to some of her YouTube stuff. I follow her. I like her stuff. There's a few things I can't buy or get on board with, but for the most part, boy, she's spot on with my thinking. All right? So Dr. Elizabeth Bright, and she's got a book on menopause, and she's also got a book, I haven't read it yet, but it's on adolescent girls. So she's written 2 books, one for the olders and one for the youngers. Miss Jen does period cycling. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, I'm not a cyclist. I'm a weightlifter. Oh, no, I mean, I am still having my period. Well, then you're not menopausal. You're having hot flashes and you're still having your period. You're not menopausal, okay? But I would definitely increase your fat and protein. Haskins says, yes, already did one. I already forgot. Did one what? Miss Jen says, which at 52 I think is a good sign. I really appreciate your information on HRT. This aligns with what I was feeling instinctively. Good. You guys, this brings me to the opportunity. We are live right now on Instagram and YouTube, okay? We are live on Instagram and YouTube. If this information is helpful for you and you think it would be helpful for somebody else, hit the likes, hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts, hit the subscribe buttons, follow, share. It helps. Comment. That's why I always ask, where are you guys listening from? Because any comment helps. You could just put FL for Florida and that's it. It helps. There's algorithms. If we want Dr. Jensen, Dr. Malea Jensen's information to get out there, help me. It doesn't cost you anything except for a push of a button. And I would appreciate it. I appreciate everything. You guys I am where I'm at today because of you guys. And I care about you guys. I care about you guys, and I look for you coming back every single weekend. And pretty soon, I'm going to, when my physical office closes and I'm online full time, I'm going to do every day of the week. Right now, I'm just doing reels, but maybe I add in a live stream every day of the week. Just something. Maybe we pick a topic. Maybe it's menopause. Maybe it's weightlifting. Why do we do, training our physique is so important. And I could talk endlessly about cholesterol, but I could really talk endlessly about lifting weights and bodybuilding. And I don't mean, you got to be humongous bodybuilder. Bodybuilding, building up your body, muscular, bone structure. Everything is growing stronger as we age, not getting weaker. Aging is not, I'm going to get weak and I'm going to grow old and get the wrinkles and my organs are going to shut down. Well, eventually, but are you helping it? Are you helping it? See, we've been bamboozled. We're such weak creatures, you guys. We're so weak. We are weak creatures. We can be eliminated by anybody who thinks stronger than us. We're so submissive to authority and education. I don't want you guys to look at me as some doctor who's been educated for 13 years. No, I want you to look at me as a teammate. I'm a teammate, and I want you I want you guys to want to be better. If you don't want it, I'm going to ease up. But I think if you're listening to me for an hour and 5 minutes, I think you want what I'm offering, which is another way of thinking through things. I think you're finding out that there's a possibility you've been bamboozled with buffoonery your whole life. And it's not just in health. It's in everything around you. Okay? It's everything. You've been lied to. There is agendas. There's agendas. And you fit it and you don't fit it all at the same time. Okay? You have to speak life into your life on a daily basis, says Jillian. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Some of us just want to just roll over and die. Oh, you were right. I just joined late, but I think Miss Jen is referring to her period as still cycling. You're right. See, I'm a doctor. You held me at such high standards and I just didn't quite get it. See, it took one of you guys to explain, like, to get down to basics, Dr. Jensen. Come on now. She says her cycle is still cycling. Her periods. Oh, no, you're right. Jillian, you're right. Thank you. Yes, see, Miss Jen, see how I just read into things and I assumed. But Miss Jen says she can apply this information. She does exercise a lot. She's doing CrossFit and pickleball. Nice. Eye-hand coordination, Miss Jen. You're 52 and you're working eye-hand coordination. Anything with a paddle increases our ability for our brain to continue the connections. Very good choice. Very good choice, Miss Jen. I'm happy. Racquetball, tennis, pickleball, ping pong. Paddling up and down on your own. You don't have to go somewhere. Get one of those bouncy balls with the paddle. Yeah. Brain function. Miss Jen, I want to apologize for misconstruing everything, but you did get gleaned a little bit of information from me, right? I mean, this is why it's entertaining. I can be humorous too. So I went down on a wrong way tangent, but at least you gleaned some information from me. So thank you for being so gracious. I appreciate that. So yes, CrossFit and pickleball, excellent choices at the age of 52, or any age. Chat with Lucy says, Dr. J, you have influenced me to start new habits. I'm constantly sticking my finger into the butter. And it's a snack. Chat with Lucy, just take a fork and go like this and just slice off a chunk, put it in your mouth, let it melt, and instant energy. A little bit of salt in your mouth too. Oh, what a snack. A snackaroonie. Miss Jen, yes, thank you. I just purchased this. Good fat is good for what? Yes, that's it. Good. Yep, that's the book I was talking about. Jillian says, I lost 34 pounds in 6 months. Who on here does not want to lose 34 pounds? Well, I know in the first place. I heard you thinking I don't want to gain 34 pounds in the first place. I get it. But if you got 34 pounds to lose, don't you want to lose it? Miss Jillian just lost 34 pounds in 6 months. She's eating 3-to-1 fat to protein. 3-to-1. 3-to-1. I hope that her protein's at least 100. And she's eating 300 grams of fat. Whoa. She's a good woman. Right? That's awesome. Mainstream people would never believe this. It has been a game changer in my weight, mental clarity, and so much more. I agree. So as a bodybuilder, as a physician, previously physician, I'm still a physician, I was just a previous physician, right? I was scared of fat. Because I was told by my coaches that the only way you're going to get on stage is to be low carb, low fat, high protein. And I did. I got on stage. I was miserable, but I got on stage and I looked good. I was proud of myself. Did I win the Miss Olympia? Did I even get my pro card? No, neither one. But I was so proud of myself. I was down to like 3% body fat for my shows. It was a beautiful thing. And so I continued that low carb, low fat for decades until recently. And I'm saying within the last 2 years, I was eating fat, but I was maybe on a 1-to-1. So if I had 125 grams of protein, I would eat 125 grams of fat. And I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't get this little fluff gone. Just a little fluff. You guys would say, that's fluff, Dr. Jensen? Okay, but I get your background. I mean, you're used to 3% fat, and I could see where a little fluff would maybe mind boggle your brain. So I bumped it up to 250. I doubled it. And then the fat came off. The fluff. I couldn't believe it. But see, I was so against it. I actually had to read probably Elizabeth Bright's book to say, okay, it's going to be okay. Just try it. You work out. You've gone from 160 pounds down to 126 to try to get ready for a bodybuilding show. You've done it. You know how to lose weight. I said, okay, I got this. I got it. Well, it didn't take much. And I felt better. My joints don't hurt as bad. You see, it's one thing to take away all of the crap. I was eating, you guys, I'm going to just have to admit it. Once I got out of my bodybuilding and I would eat a little bit of carbs, I chose chips. Chips and a good protein. Chips and cottage cheese. I could just have chips and cottage cheese for dinner. That was it. What's your dinner? Chips and cottage cheese. Years I did this. So you can imagine I had a little fluff and buildup of seed oils and the carbohydrates and the sugar and the insulin. No, I did not check my labs, but I already know if you're building fat, your insulin level is elevated. I took those things away and the fat disappeared, except for the little bit of fluff. And the little bit of fluff disappeared when I doubled my fat, saturated fat. And no, do I eat my fat in front of people? No, they'll never believe it anyway. You eat a stick of butter, you eat 2 sticks of butter. You've eaten 3 sticks of butter in a day? No. I'm not gonna go show them, but I do. I do. I eat it like a candy bar. I love it. I'm like that steak and butter gal. Is that what her name is? Steak. You guys follow her, I'm sure, on Instagram and all the things. She'll take her steak. She's got one of her reels. One of her reels is that what was a tomahawk, and it's raw. It's raw. I have not gone there yet. She takes the tomahawk, and then she's got a fork full of butter. Tiny little girl. It's okay. It's okay. She's winning a lot of, looks like the Michigan game's going to start here. They're playing Notre Dame. So anyway, Chat with Lucy has a QQ question. Do we need to lift weights? The answer is yes. That strain our muscles? Yes. Or lighter weights that just more reps? No. You need to lift weights to strain yourself. You need to improve yourself every single time. Your body will adapt. So that's why you change things up. That's why I'm never doing the exact same body part every single day, because I'm trying to stress it. I don't want to do biceps Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, I might want to do biceps on Monday and Thursday, and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to walk out of there thinking I want to puke. And you know what? As I've gotten older, I don't push myself as much as I used to. I used to push myself, but then I had these goals. I wanted to get on stage and I wanted muscle. I love muscle. Not that I don't anymore, but I don't have it in me to, and probably I need to get a workout partner who will push me, spit in my face or do something, slap me around, like Rocky, pounding on his abs. Maybe I need somebody like that. I don't know, but yes, Lucy, you need to lift until failure. But not like, don't do 100 reps to failure. You want to do 10, 12, 15 reps to failure. You got to You got to push yourself, Lucy. Push yourself. Haskins is in Scottsdale. Love to listen to you. So very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Haskins. You should go see my friend Peter. Peter, do you know my friend Peter Glucoferrin? Peter Slowinski? His spa is in Scottsdale. You should just drop in and say, you know what, Peter, I just wanted to meet you and shake your hand. I listen to Dr. J all the time, and she mentioned you. Jillian says, we love you, Dr. Malea. We see your passion. That is one thing I was born with. It is passion. Whoa. It could even be passion for all of the false stuff. I could be passionate about being wrong and not know I was wrong. That's how passionate I am. So it's a wonder that my passion was going all in one direction about statins and LDL and heart disease and blah, 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 no fat and whatever. How did I ever veer off and see the light? All the people in my life, they didn't want to tear me down. They wanted to bring me up. They knew that I had something special and I could share it with somebody if they could just convince me. Dr. Jensen, please read this book. Listen to this one guy. You'll really like him. You'll really like him. I listened to him for like 3 years before I really liked him. Jillian says, I love to hike and play pickleball, but I need guidance in lifting heavy things. Look forward to lives with how to best lift weights. Okay, we should, you know what? We should do that. In fact, one of my other listeners said, I want to know more about, lifting weights. And it's something I'm so passionate about, but yet I feel like you guys maybe don't want to hear it. And it's hard for me to show you how to lift things and how to feel it, because my whole life of lifting weights was learning with my eyes closed. Remember, eyes of faith? Things you cannot see. You have faith in the things that you cannot touch and you cannot see, Jesus. But I would work that into my system, okay? And I called it my brain muscle connection. I needed a connection. So I would concentrate and lift the weight, close my eyes, and feel the muscle tug and squeeze. Sometimes I could make a 20-pound weight for a bicep curl feel like 45 pounds. I felt like I was curling 45 pounds because of the intensity I put in with my neuromuscular, my brain to muscle connection. And honestly, I have done that very well as I've gotten older. And I need to get that back. And maybe, just maybe talking about it will get me into that. But there is so many ways to lift weights. And you're going to hear so many, I know, and I did it this way, and you're wrong, and coulda, shoulda, wouldas. If you just woulda, everybody's going to have their own way. But you got to think of all of the variables, you guys. These people who are training their clients and telling them they need to do this and do this and do that are the very guys who can take this and that drug and look like this and say, you have to eat carbs in order to get like this. No, you have to take drugs to look like that. See, they don't like what I've been in their world. I've seen them. I've experienced their world, and I've experienced their sickness with my own eyes. I've seen it. And it's something that I want to forget. But I'm glad I got to experience it and see it for myself. But they are sick, sick individuals. Miss Jen, thank you. I love it so much. You're very welcome. I'm sure someone else learned from it. P.O. Jillian, thank you. Thank you, Jillian. She's giving me a pump me up. She's giving me a warm fuzzy. She says, I'm sure someone will learn from the bike cycling information too. It was good information. Oh, thank you, Jillian. You guys make me laugh. Jillian says, we were all lied to. I did the low-fat lie too. It actually was so bad that my period stopped. Mine too. I was in college. I was an athlete. I didn't have my period for almost 4 years. Occasionally. I was such a good athlete, and I could have been so much more. Jillian, so much to the point she didn't use fat or didn't do anything that she had fertility issues. You know what? Women who have fertility issues, you give them some fat and protein, you tell them double your fat, triple your fat, all of a sudden they get fertile. They have babies. And you figured it out on your own, huh? That's pretty awesome, Jillian. I didn't have that. I didn't figure it out on my own. I had somebody beat me over the head with a book. Started eating pecans and other healthy fats. Yeah, they were all healthy fats, but there's so many other bad things with pecans, but okay. Got my period back and got pregnant within 2 months. This was after infertility treatments that did not work. All it took was some steak and butter, right, Miss Jen? Oh yeah, the steak and butter gal is amazing. Yeah, I like her too. She's comical. I'm loving Costco's grass-fed butter. I like it too. It's in a green thing, right? Is it Kirkland? Is that the Costco grass-fed butter? Yeah, one ingredient. Haskins, what is the name of the spa? I don't know. It's Peter, P-I-O-T-R, Piotr. He's Polish. Slowinski, S-L-O-W-I-N-S-K-I, Peter Slowinski. I haven't been to, we talk Scottsdale on the phone all the time, and he'll tell me about going past mountains and stuff, and I can picture them, but my mom used to live in Phoenix, so that's why I'm talking. When we were little, we would go to visit, and my mom lived in the Cave Creek area. And so Paradise Valley, we weren't very far from Paradise Valley Mall. And that was my favorite mall of all time. And even at the age of 12 or 13, my mom would let me drive the car, which was a stick shift. So I learned like when I was 11 or 12 how to drive in Arizona. And we hiked. Do you know that I was probably the healthiest little kid mentally when we got to go to Arizona for the winter? During spring breaks, during Christmas time, I came back with a little bit of color, and we were outside all the time. We were hiking, we were horseback riding, and I was the healthiest. And then in the summer, I live in Iowa, so in the winter we're cooped up, right? And then in the summer, I spent time with my dad at the lake, and we were in the sun all day long. I felt like the healthiest ever. It's just your environment. I'm not saying Iowa's bad, but we are cooped up, and that's why a lot of people are. What do they call them? South bird? What are they? Winter birds or I don't know. Where they go south in the wintertime. Miss Jen says, yeah, lift weights to be harder to kill. Absolutely. Be tough. We want to lift. I think I'm speaking for others in here in that we want to be healthy and live to be centurions just like you. And healthy centurions, okay? Not just ones that are sitting on the couch. Because if we're going to be a centurion, and I don't know where your belief system is, but God is still using me if I'm a centurion. And he wants me to share the gospel. He wants a big family. He wants believers. This is Sunday. This is God's day. All days, according to Paul, there is no day held to higher esteem than any other day. But my goodness, if there is a day to share the gospel, it's today. Okay? And God is using us. And he's saying, Dr. Malea, I need you out of that office. You're only able to share the gospel with 8, 10, 12 people. I need you to share them with hundreds of people, thousands of people. You're like one of my, you're my hands and feet, he says. I'm going to mold you. I'm going to teach you the way. But you just got to be obedient. You got to read the word. You got to know me. I'm not obscure. I'm in a book. You can read all about me. I have nothing to hide from you. If you want, just ask. How well did you know your parents? You know what was really hard yesterday? I'm just going to tell you an experience that happened to me yesterday. My mom was on live yesterday. I don't think she's on live today. And when I was at her house, she said something to me. You know what she said? She goes, you know how you were talking about having the posters, the clippings on the backside of your door so Margie wouldn't see it, because she knew my stepmom. So she wouldn't see it and freak her out. She goes, I could just see you doing something like that. I could see you clipping out magazines and taping them to the back of your door and idolizing them. I could see you doing that because you were so passionate about everything you did. If it was basketball or golf or your scholastics, everything you did, you just had this passion. And she goes, when I hear you talk like that, I get to know you. I didn't have a chance to know you. I mean, think about a parent. who didn't have a chance to know their kid. And it goes back to how we live together, and we once we get 18, we leave our coop. And then our parents never know us from 18 to 100. They don't know who we are. They only know our formative 18 years. She was at least honest with me. And she goes, I'm going to listen because I want to get to know you. Just like you guys are getting to know me, and I'm getting to know you. And if you want to be a centurion and I want to be a centurion, then we got to share the gospel. We're with other centurions, right? That's what our goal is. Good Chap says, yes, a lifting plan is number one, and I don't yet have one. We'll get one. Good Chap, we will do it, okay? We're going to think it through, and we'll start slow. Chat with Lucy, thank you for your voice and love. Woke up achy, sorta depressed. You lifted my spirits. Just sprinkled salt on a fork scoop of butter. Off to read the Bible and look up Philippians 4:13. Awesome. Jillian says, now I don't eat pecans. That was 28 years ago. Okay, good. That was good. And I have learned so much about things that grow in the ground. I know, me too. Not that I loved anything that grew in the ground, but I ate it. I ate it because they said it was good for us, but little did I know it's not good for us. Yep, Green Box, Kirkland brand. Yeah, I love that stuff. And Jacobson's salt, right, Dr. J? Absolutely, I love Jacobson's kosher salt is my first. Yes, Snowbirds, that's it, Snowbirds. Thank you. Thank you, Salib. I appreciate you guys helping me out. Okay, all right. So we've been talking for a couple hours. I'm live on YouTube. I don't know if it'll go over there very big, but if you guys could help me out. If you're listening to me right now on Instagram, or you hear this after the fact on Facebook, can you please go over to YouTube? Please go to YouTube if you have a YouTube account and search IronLadyDoc, Malea Jensen. So IRON, IronLadyDoc, D-O-C. Malea, M-A-L-E-A, Jensen, S-E-N. Just search me. Please hit the subscribe button. You don't have to listen over there, but it helps me, okay? I want to get YouTube going. There's only 600 and some over there. 18,000 of you on Instagram. If you have a YouTube account, I could build that up over there, okay? I'm finding that Facebook is just, it's kind of dead in the water. People don't talk over there. They do listen. The 6,000 followers, I appreciate them over there. But I think where it's at to get the most information out to people and align with the other doctors that are speaking my language or I'm speaking their language, it's a two-way street. I think moving over to YouTube is going to be where it's at. So, IronLadyDoc, Malea Jensen on YouTube. Please. Family in the Arctic just subscribed. See how easy that was? Family in the Arctic just subscribed to me over there. It just flashed up. So I do appreciate everything. I will be back, Lord willing, on next Saturday. Next Saturday, I will be back. Hold on, I got to find something. My prayer. I got to find my prayer. So next Saturday, I will be back at 9 a.m. Central, live stream. Dr. J's Prescription for Health. Live question and answers. Okay? I do it every Saturday and every Sunday. 9 a.m. Central on Saturday, 10 a.m. Central on Sundays. And beginning May 1st, I'm going to go live, I think, on a daily basis. I think that's where it's at, is to catch people randomly, okay? Miss Jen, you're very welcome. I try to be inspiring, and I want to inspire you, and I need you guys to inspire me. I need you guys to keep me going, okay? So, today's Sunday, and it's the Lord's Day, and no, I'm not going to hold any day with higher esteem than any other day, but Sundays are a day that I don't completely love because I think about Mondays a lot. And I don't know. Anyway, if you feel it in your heart to repeat this prayer after me, please do. Dear Father in heaven, I believe in your Son, Jesus, that he died on the cross for my sins, that he rose from the grave, and that I am forgiven. Lord, help me to walk with you. Thank you for saving me In the name of Jesus Christ and all God's people said, amen. So you guys have a wonderful Sunday, all right? Have a wonderful Sunday. And I will see you back, Lord willing, next Saturday. See ya.